Well, I was born in California, in Van Nuys, California, on Calhoun Street on November the 16th in 29, I guess. Catherine Arnson Kinzer and Walter Henry Kinzer. Well, I'm the middle. They claim the middle's supposed to be the best. We'll see. My sister Dory was born in Ferdinand, and my brother Corny was born in Ferdinand. I had a brother, Urban, that was born in Ferdinand also, and he died when he was only 7 days old. Dory and Corny and Urban were all born one after the other, and then I came along a lot later, and Robert came back later, and we moved back to Idaho and lived in Ferdinand. And my sister Bonnie was born in Ferdinand, and I couldn't figure out how Mom could have that many to start with, and this long space in between the rest of us. So school was good. I liked school in Ferdinand. And Mr. Croyce, superintendent, and the teacher was such a nice, good guy, and he was just made things good. It was during the war, so we didn't get to go anywhere or do much, but we survived. And I had a lot of good classmates. When I started in grade school, there were about 14 or 18 of us, and when we graduated, there was 10 of us. Most everybody was moving away, so. And I ended up being valedictorian. No, I'm sorry, salutatorian. Better not take that away from Harold. He wouldn't be very happy. And he certainly was a good valedictorian. He was smart. And so we all got along real. Of course, he and I did a lot of mouth battling, but we were good friends. We got on the debating deal, and he beat the heck out of me. But we actually enjoyed everything. I worked at the phone office when I was going to school, and I had a really good lady, Marjorie Hayden, that was a telephone operator, and she had both Dory and me work for her, and so that was nice. And I worked at the grocery store at Vince Fry and for a little while, not too long. Yeah, I played hooky a couple times and got in trouble. I still can't believe I did that, but it was a whole carload. So. and we came all the way to Cottonwood and played hooky that day. Of course, during the war, nobody had a car, and nobody had gas. Well, Donnie Funk did, because his folks had a little more money than everybody, I think. And they had a nice-looking car, and they had gas. And so Donnie told us he'd take us, so we did. Anyway, we were met by Mr. Croyce, so we got a lecture. But Mr. Croyce was such a good teacher, and he had more, how would I say? Anyway, when he said something, you listened, and there was no goofing off. And I really liked him so much. So, yeah, they just lived down the street from us a little bit, and he had a son, John, and my brother Robert, and John were like this, and they were together all the time. So then came to Cottonwood all the time to go to the ball or to the dances. Somebody was having a dance for a wedding or whatever, and that's where I met my husband, Cleo. And he took me home from one of the dances, and that was it. He had been working in Boise for the state and lived down there. And then when his dad died, he quit the job and came up here to run the farm. Well, he wasn't a farmer. And so otherwise I probably would never have met him if that hadn't worked in that way. So yeah, but he had hay fever, and so it was something he just wasn't interested in, was farming. So he only did that for a couple of years, and then Ned, his brother, took over. So worked out fine. Yeah. And so we got married in '47, and it was in November, and it was a little cool and a little wet, but we survived, and we had Mass at 9 o'clock, and Father Heitman, they called him the Marian priest. He was right after the war, and he had so many weddings, and so they were calling him the Marian priest. Marian Sam. Cleo's brother Johnny and his wife Armella got married 4 days before we did. So we had a lot of get-togethers, and there were kids. And yeah, it was kind of a fun time. At that time, everybody had their dinners at home, so there wasn't any big shindig, really. But then we took off that night and headed to California, and went down and visited my dad's stepmother, and went to Disneyland. It had just opened, so we went there, and it was okay. So then when we came home, we went out to Cleo's family's place and lived out there for 3 years. And then we built this house. My dad and Uncle Lawrence built the house, and they did a good job. Ended up with 5 children: Ken and Dan, Tim, Cindy, and Nick. And I had absolutely no idea about being pregnant. It was quite a change. Well, when I got pregnant, I weighed 122 pounds. And by the time I got through, I won't tell you how much, but I gained a lot. I had a long time trying to get rid of it. But I wasn't too thrilled about being pregnant. But it turned out okay with all of them. But yeah, Ken was an experiment for both Cleo and me. So we sometimes wondered how we got him raised. So, but he turned out to be pretty good. Yeah. So, and then when it came down, he was a bigger baby, but he got sick with pneumonia, and we had to take him to Spokane, and he was up there for several days. And you know, just part of raising kids, I guess. But I know Dr. Orr said seemed like one of your kids are sick all the time. And I thought, yeah, tell me what to do. But I had the three boys, and Dr. W. came in and he said, I'm sorry you didn't have a girl. He said, every dad needs a daughter. Well, I had finally had her. He was a wonderful father, much better father than I was a mother. He had a lot more patience, always had more patience. And yeah, he took exceptionally good care of the kids, and they got along really well. So yeah, yeah, my kids thought they had a good dad, which they did. So I'm not so sure about the mother, but the father was good. He was very athletic, and he was a very good basketball player, and tennis, loved tennis. So when he got to where he couldn't do anything, it just went downhill awfully fast. He, well, he was older, 70 whatever, 9 whatever, 80 something, and he ended up with some Alzheimer's. He was only in the nursing home, let's see, about 5 weeks or so when he died. Of course, his heart, he'd had open heart surgery earlier, so I guess that's what it was, yeah. Let's see, we went to California several times, but when Tim was in the service and he was in Germany, so we went over to see him, and but before we went, our friends decided we ought to go out in the woods first and have something. So we did. Well, Cleo got allergies real bad, and he ended up getting, oh my, he was a mess. Anyway, we got allergic to whatever he was in the bushes, and we got over to Germany, and his legs were actually running the stuff on there. Well, Tim was MP, so he took him to the doctor, and that's about all we got done while we were in Germany. Was one day, a nice soldier told me he'd take me to town and show me around, which he did, but Cleo never did. That was not the best, that's for sure. But we went to Paris for a day, and then we flew to England, and we went with Cletus and Peg Ullorn, and Cletus found us a guy to take us out to dinner, which he did. And it was so much nicer to get to England, and when we flew in, I said, oh, I can read what it says again. And so I had bacon and eggs for the first meal, and it really tasted good. So, and then we went to Hawaii, and that was right after the big blow over here in Washington, and our clothes went one place and we went to the other, and when we got to Hawaii, we got our clothes right the very last thing coming out of here. The clothes were on the plane, so we had some clothes to wear. Oh my. And so it's been exciting, and we went to Alaska, and flew out of Spokane. I guess we flew out of Seattle. But anyway, we barely got out over the ocean a little bit, and they turned us around. Some couple got on that brought a can of something, and as we were flying, the smell of that can, it was something that they weren't supposed to have on. So we had to go back to Seattle and get those people out and clean out the plane. So then we got back in to go on, and Delbert Harmon was up there, him and his wife, waiting for us, which took about 12 extra hours. So that, I thought, oh dear, what else can happen? So that isn't, it just seems like every time we went someplace there was something going on. So, and when we went down through the canal, uh, they set us out there on the track waiting. I don't know what they were waiting for, but anyway, we sat out there for such a long time. So then we took off to get back into Texas, and the captain came on and he said, we're going to have to stop. Oh, he named a place, and get some fuel. So he did, and we got into where we were supposed to be, and barely got stopped, and they come running out there, and she said, we're in a hurry, hurry, hurry. She said, we're holding a plane for you to get home. Oh, I thought, my goodness, I'm not too sure about this flying business. But it was interesting. And they put us on a plane, and we were in first class. We had glass dishes and the whole thing for that trip. Going back with that was kind of different. So, yeah, it was fun. It's kind of nice to think back about it once in a while. So we enjoyed Disneyland with the kids. In fact, we almost lost Tim. He was wandering around, and all at once, oh dear, where is he? And I looked, and he was clear over there someplace. So anyway, we got him corralled. So raising 5 kids as far as I did. Uh, I, I think being so happily married with Cleo, I really do. It was, we hardly ever fought. And if I didn't talk, then he knew I was, because I talked a lot. But if I didn't talk, he knew there was something wrong. But actually, I've had a very good life. I really have. Been very, very fortunate. Good friends. So